Oh. Sunday night, late night, here in the studio. After what we witnessed tonight on the island, the biggest game, I think, of the Jacket season just took place, and Ilya Sorokin stands on his head, and the Islanders end the point streak. They end the Jackets' run. This game game's got me a little bit of a tizzy, and I gotta give credit to some bit to the boys because they did a hell of a job during this long point stretch. The last loss was against Boston when they came back from the break on the 28th of February, and today is the 22nd of March. Wow. Wow. Again, wow. Oh, we'll get into it. The Fish get 3 points out of the weekend against Lake Tahoe. And again, it proves it yet again that are they ready for the run for the Kelly Cup? We'll talk about that tonight. Also, March Madness in full swing. Oh, the brackets. Florida just went down to Iowa. We'll look at my bracket. Not going to be ready. I can already see it. But hey, we are now 4 days away from the start of baseball season. And today, the final exhibition spring training games took place. Camps are breaking. It's time to go swinging. It's time for All Andy Alfred, right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network. And with that, on this Sunday night, I say, I love you guys. And welcome into another edition of All Andy Alfred right here on your exclusive home for me, and that is with the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network. Whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, Pocket Cast, however you listen to us, wherever and whenever you listen to us, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for tuning into the podcast tonight, as well as watching us on YouTube on the All Andy Alfred Hangout channel. You can be a part of the show always by following us on Twitter. It is at All Andy Alfred. It is at All Andy Alfred, as well as Facebook.com/All Andy Alfred. And welcome to the special post-game edition of All Andy Alfred on this, the 22nd day of March, 2026. A big game tonight on the island, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Also, we'll recap the 3-game series for the Fish as they took on the Lake Tahoe Night Monsters, as well as we'll look at both the standings in both the East Coast Hockey League and the NHL. We'll also dive into the now Sweet 16 for the college basketball tournament, as well as take a look ahead to the upcoming baseball season a little bit. We'll dive briefly into it. Again, programming note for you guys. It will be posted on Wednesday night. It will be the 2026 edition of the All Andy Alfred MLB Preview Edition with Lucas Sigerson and Robert Logie Bear Carr. He will be all three of us in a roundtable discussion talking about baseball, getting our reaction to last season, of course, the World Baseball Classic. We're going to talk a little bit about the contract negotiations right now between the players, and we'll also have our predictions for this upcoming season for Major League Baseball, for who is going to be lifting the Commissioner's Trophy come this November. So all that we'll have that specially aired on Wednesday night to get you ready for Thursday's opening day games in Major League Baseball. So we'll have that all covered for you guys. Also, again, to reiterate, there will be no opening day show for the Mud Hens this year. We will be a special edition of All Andy Alfred coming to you from Little Caesars Arena in downtown Detroit, where the Columbus Blue Jackets will take on the Detroit Red Wings. And this game is now, again, I will say it again, it's becoming a pivotal game as we come down the stretch between these two teams. Because the fact is this: Detroit needs to get in. They have been on a long streak. Columbus needs to get in. And right now, they're on the path of getting there. And we'll get into that here in just a second. But again, we will be at Little Caesars Arena for that game on April 7th at Little Caesars for Jackets Red Wings Tuesday night. That's a 7 o'clock drop at the Slice in downtown Detroit. So there is that for you guys. Programming note on that realm as well. So let's get into it. And I'm going to start first and foremost with the National Hockey League. We're going to talk about the Jackets first and foremost tonight. A hell of an effort. It was an absolute hell of an effort. And the fact that Jet Greaves basically stood on his head for the entire game after what happened in the first 2 minutes of the game was absolutely brilliant. The run that this team has had, this whole run that they've had, I'm absolutely ecstatic, and it brightens my mood that Rick Bowness was the right key piece to this whole situation. And I think Don Wendell hit it with the right mark with Connor Garland coming into the lineup. You're getting everybody fully healthy at the right period of time. This team is a playoff team. Going into tonight's game, they were an 84.7% percentage of making the playoffs. 84%. They were the third number 3 team in the Metropolitan race. Think about this for a second. We have to go back to after the series against Seattle, winning in Seattle, and the firing of Dean Evanson. This team was in dead last in the Eastern Conference. Dead last. To where they're at now. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the fact that the night before, they play Seattle and just throttle Seattle. 5-2 was the final. They got an empty netter, of course. But Olivier and this Denton Heinen is absolutely fantastic. I like this kid. He's very, very good. Came over in the trade with Chinnikov from Pittsburgh. I think it's a plus for the Jackets right now. Jenner's playing at a high level right now. Mason Marchman's playing at a high level. Coyle, you had Branson now playing at a high level. Cole Sillinger's just 3-point night last night against Seattle. And then you take this game tonight. A must-win for Columbus to get even higher into the playoff rankings because earlier in the day, Pittsburgh fell to Carolina by the score of 5-1. Okay? So the Jackets, with the win, could move to second place in the Metropolitan Division. Now, at the playoffs, somehow, someway, the playoffs ended today. The regular season ended today. And the Jackets would win. They would get the number 2 seed, and they win. They get the number 2 in Metropolitan. They had home ice against the 3 seed, which would be the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Bo Horvath takes the shot on Jet Greaves, goes off the post and in, beating Greaves at 1:29 to go in the first period. 1:29, just starting the game. It's 1-0. And for 58 minutes after that fact, no score. And Ilya Sorokin stood on his head in this game tonight. Stood on his head. Absolutely stood on his head. Stopping all 26 shots that Columbus threw at him. All 26, stopping 26 of 26. Save percentage of 1.0. Gets the number 1 overall star. And the point streak ends. The winning streak ends at 3. And we reset going into Philadelphia with a 1-0 loss on the island tonight. Jet Greaves, fantastic. Save percentage of .985. Stopping 21 of 22. in the game. He could have stopped all 22 if that puck did not get deflected, did not get hit off the post and in. And if that didn't go in, if it wouldn't have gone in, I think we'd still be talking about a shootout or an overtime. And if you're a Jacket fan, you wanted this game to be a regulation win. You don't want to give the Islanders any points. You don't want to give them any opportunity. The fear now is, I'm going to put this out there for you here in a second. I'm going to put this out here for a brief second. Islanders have the series win over this. The Jackets and the Islanders are done playing each other. They played 4 times as their Metropolitan opponents. The Islanders have won 3 of the 4 matchups. So if you go to head-to-head competition, the Islanders have that. Goal differential goes in favor. If I read this right, let's say 3, 5, 9, 10 to 6, 10 to 9 in goal differential if you're going to go for that too. Just remember that going forward. Jackets 40% of the face-off dot. To the Islanders 60% of the face-off dot. The Islanders did not draw a penalty in the entire game. Cole Sillinger had 2 penalties in the game. And then Marchenko had a penalty, 6 minutes in penalties, but they were 3 for 3 on the PK. The Jackets were, not allowing the Islanders to score. Both teams, even in hits, 24 apiece. The Islanders just had 17 block shots to Columbus's 16. 5 takeaways from the Islanders to Columbus's 1. Excuse me, Matejchuk and Sillinger were the 2 penalties. So Sillinger had 1 penalty, Marchenko had a penalty, and Matejchuk had a penalty in the game. So Horvat, the number 2 star, Susi, the number 3 star. He had, I don't understand why he got the number 3 star. It should have been either Lee or Boquist that got the others. But all right. But Sorokin, the number 1 star, stopping all 26 shots on goal in the game. And again, like I said, Jet Greaves stopping 21 of 22 in this game tonight. Save percentage of a .955, 955 in the game tonight. So the Jackets fall to the Islanders 1-0. They have to pick back up. They have to move on Tuesday night in Philadelphia to play a Flyers team right now that's really, really hot right now, and they can start making a run too. Now, going into the standings, let's look at the other scores from today as well too. We have games still going on as we speak, as we're doing this podcast post game after the Jackets lost tonight to the New York Islanders. 9 games were on the slate today in the National Hockey League. Of course, we are at some finals to pass along. Like I mentioned, the Carolina Hurricanes beating the Pittsburgh Penguins by the score of 5-1. The Avalanche beating the Capitals 3-2 in overtime. Winnipeg a 3-2 winner over the Rangers in a shootout. The Predators a 3-2 win in overtime. Vegas a 3-2 win over the Stars. We have games going on, like I said, as we speak, as I'm doing the podcast. 9:56 to go in the third period. The Flames up 3-2 on the Lightning. Buffalo is down to the Anaheim Ducks 4-3, and Anaheim's playing really, really good as of late. And the Mammoths and the Kings are tied at 2 after 13:55 to go in the second period. So with all that, the Jackets lose tonight, do not pick up 2 points. Well, here's what the current standings look like with all Metropolitan teams done playing for tonight. So here is what it looks like right now. In the Metro, it is Columbus still in 3rd spot. They have played 70 games so far. They still have 2 games at hand. Still have 1 game at hand still. They are 37, 22, and 11 with 85 points and holding right now the 3rd spot in the Metropolitan Division. If they would have, like I said, won today with 2 points, they would have been 87 points. They would have been the 2nd spot in the Metropolitan Division, which right now is held by the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are 35, 19, and 16 with 86 points right now. Carolina is the top team in the Metropolitan Division at 45 wins, 19 losses, and 6 overtime losses for 96 points. There's no way that Columbus can catch them, but that is massive. With every team still having played in the Metropolitan Division, in the top three have played 70 games. 70 games so far. Wild card race looks like this. Boston holding the top spot at 39, 23, and 8 with 86 points. The Islanders are 40, 26, and 5 with 85 points. The reason why they're not the third team right now is because of their winning percentage, which is at a 5.599. Columbus is a 0.607. So right now the Jackets are still in front. The Red Wings losing to the Boston Bruins last night on national television by the score of 3-2 have now fallen out of the wild card spot. Now they're 38, 24, 8 with 8 losses with 84 points. Ottawa 36, 24, 9 with 81 points. The Flyers, like I said, the Flyers are hot right now. They're on a 3-game winning streak. They have won. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. They are at 5th spot in the wild card race at 34, 23, and 12 with 80 points. The Capitals are there as well, too. I can't count the Capitals out. 35, 27, and 9 with 79 points. But the problem is the Capitals have played 71 games. The Islanders have played 71 games as well, too. The Flyers have played 69 games. They have 2 games at hand to Columbus. So keep that in mind as well, too, going forward. And then, of course, rounding it out, the Devils, Panthers. So the Panthers, they're not gonna repeat as champions. It's not gonna be a three-peat this year for the Panthers. There will be no three-peat in the National Hockey League this year. I'm just letting you know that right now. Toronto and the Rangers are the final 2 teams. Western Conference, congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche. They have clinched a playoffs berth with 102 points, 46, 13, and 10 with 102 points. The Dallas Stars are in second place at 43, 16, and 11 with 97 points. The Wild are 40, 19, and 12 with 92 points. Pacific Division. I said it again. Anaheim is the team out there that is surprising me this year. Absolutely surprising me. 38, 27, and 4 with 80 points, leading the division. 80 points. Leading the division in the Pacific Division. Vegas, 32, 25, and 14 with 78 points. The Oilers, 34, 28, and 9 with 77 points. The wild card, Utah, 36, 28, and 6 with 78 points. And the Nashville Predators are 33, 28, and 9 with 79 points. Top 2 spots in the wild card race. The Kings are on the outside looking out by 3 points at 28, 25, and 16 with 72 points. Seattle, with their loss against Columbus, is 31, 29, and 9 with 71 points. San Jose's there, too, 32, 30, and 6 with 70 points. And Winnipeg, 29, 29, and 12 with 70 points as well. You could make a case for St. Louis. They have 2 games at hand. They're 28, 30, and 11, but they're 2 games under 500. I doubt that. So anything after Winnipeg, even Winnipeg, you're close right there. It'll be St. Louis, Chicago, Calgary, and then Vancouver in that race. But again, Columbus, with the loss tonight, are now 37, 22, and 11 with 85 points, holding the third spot in the wild card in the Metropolitan Division. The Islanders, with their win, are now 40, 26, and 5 with 85 points. So there's that for you. And by the way, Columbus 6-1 and 3 in their last 10 games. Their overall road record is 17, 14, and 4. At home at Nationwide, they're 28 and 7 overall. Their goal differentials, goals for and goals against, have really improved. Columbus's goals that they have scored 228 to their giving up 215. Where's that wrong? By the way, the Atlantic, Buffalo, top spot, 94 points at 44, 20, and 6. The surprise there for that one. Tampa Bay, 43, 21, and 4 with 90 points. Montreal, 38, 21, and 10, 86 points. And so, Chris, thank you for the big win last night, beating the Islanders. Could have helped me tonight. A 1-0 win for the Islanders in that round. So, like I said, Jackets games going forward, if you look at it wise, Columbus will have the Flyers this upcoming Tuesday, 7 o'clock drop on ESPN Plus. Then they will continue the road trip. They will then head to, let's see here. I can pull it up really quickly for you. Here it is, right here. After tonight's game, they'll go to Philadelphia on Tuesday night. Then after Philadelphia, they will then head down the road and continue the trip up to Montreal Thursday night. That's a huge game in that realm too. And then they return back to Nationwide for two pivotal games, a back-to-back. Saturday, 5 o'clock against the San Jose Sharks, and then 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon on Palm Sunday against the Boston Bruins. And it doesn't get easier. March 31st, Carolina comes back to Nationwide. This stretch is huge. This is a huge stretch for Columbus. And if we can get through this stretch, ladies and gentlemen, if we can beat Philadelphia, get points against Montreal, points against San Jose, get at least a point against Boston, compete with Carolina. I don't know if Carolina, that would be the game that could end it there, to get us to then into April, where we're in Carolina on Thursday, home to Winnipeg on the 4th, and then again, I circle it back again, April 7th against Detroit in Detroit. Huge, because after the Detroit game, Buffalo, Montreal, home to Boston, and ending the season on April 14th on national television against the Washington Capitals. It is absolutely huge. It is absolutely pivotal that we keep getting points. And tonight's game, with us not getting any points whatsoever, hurts us. Absolutely hurts us. And I'm not blaming officials. I'm not blaming the players. They ran into an Islander team that wanted to make a statement tonight, and Ilya Sorokin made the statement tonight, and I will give them credit on that. Now, there's some iffy calls here and there. Marchenko in the third period, Lee sticks his leg out. Where Marchenko was trying to go for the puck, could call a tripping call with 3 minutes to go in the third. That should have been called. I got to give Rick Bowness credit too. Shot on goal. Lee takes the shot on goal. It gets deflected. Greaves goes to make the play. Gets run into by Lee. Puck goes into the net off Olivier. Bowness challenges it for goaltender interference, and he wins the challenge. I'm looking at it like that's clearly a goal because it goes off of Olivier. But then looking at the replay, you see Jet Greaves then go and try to make the play, and he can't make the play because Anders Lee is right there. And Greaves is trying to make the play. It could have been 2-0. A 2-0 loss. Luckily, it was a 1-0 loss. But it doesn't matter because we needed to score goals. And being outshot 26-22 doesn't help it. I just want us to be competitive going into Tuesday into Philadelphia. If we win that game in Philadelphia, so tonight's game will mean much, will mean a lot because they didn't get the point. But 2 points in Philadelphia would be a lot more better in that realm going into Montreal on Thursday. And then the big 2 games at Nationwide on Saturday and Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock with the Sharks, who are looking for a playoff spot, and Boston, who's holding the first wild card position. Because if they make the first wild card position, they're going to be playing the Hurricanes in the first round. Because Buffalo will play either the Islanders or the Red Wings or possibly Columbus. And do we want to play a Buffalo team that's really, really hot right now? They could be playing a Flyers team that is making that surge. I'm worried about what's going to happen. I really am. Going down the stretch, it's making me nervous. And also, I want to make this very clear with this hockey organization in the Columbus Blue Jackets. Don't make the post about playoff tickets. Please, I beg you, do not jinx this. Do not jinx this. You are jinxing it by promoting it. If you are promoting playoff tickets, you are basically, with not even having an X next to your name or anything. If you have an X next to your name, yes, promote it. You're going to be going to the playoffs. You're going to have playoff games. But until you have an X next to your name, do not, and I mean do not promote playoff tickets. You're basically giving the kiss of death to the season. And I pull up the Blue Jacket page, and the first thing I look at, 2026 Stanley Cup playoff tickets. Take it down. You are jinxing it. You look at the Walleye. The Walleye sell playoff tickets. They haven't got clinched the division. They haven't clinched a playoff spot yet. But yet they're selling tickets. And by the way, when they play a former opponent like this, they did this weekend, yet again, it proves that the Central Division, very, very weak. Very, very weak. So there's that. Let's get into the Walleye, by the way, right now. Let's get into the Walleye. Because for me, the fact is this. 3-game series against Lake Tahoe. This was a huge series. A huge series. Because the fact is this. Lake Tahoe is a more formidable opponent than your Iowas, your Bloomingtons, your Indianapolis. Because you don't see Idaho, you don't see a Lake Tahoe coming into Toledo. A team that's looking to continue to get into the postseason. A team that's 4th place in the Mountain Division. That wants to get into the playoffs. That are fighting to get into the playoffs. This is a team that's fighting to get into the playoffs, and they proved it. And shut down Nolan Lalonde on Saturday night. I said it on the podcast last week. I said, if you're going to get a win out of this series, you're probably going to get the win Friday night when they're coming back into town. And I was right. Let's get into the series that was this past weekend with the Fish. And we'll start first and foremost with Friday night. Friday night, Lake Tahoe coming into town on R2-D2 Star Wars night, of course. And Brendan McCallion getting the goal scoring started at the 10:50 mark of the period from Sawyer and Van Ryn. It's 1-0 Walleye at the 10:50 mark of the first period. But then right away, Lake Tahoe comes right up the ice, and I'm telling you, this team is very, very good. I told you guys this last week that they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're fighting to get in, and they're going to come out strong. And they came out strong on a power play. Trent Swick hit his 21st of the season. It's at the 14:03 mark of the period. It's 1-1, and then not even a minute and 6 seconds later, Sloan Stanchek getting his 18th of the season, and it's 2-1 after 20 minutes. Starting of the second, not even a minute into the period. Stanchek again getting his second of the night, 19th of the season, and it's 3-1 Lake Tahoe from Paolini and Wall. And then the Fish started turning it on. Brandon Hawkins getting his 26th of the season from McCallion, and Riley Funk getting his first assist of the season with the Fish. It's 3-2 Fish. And then Sam Craggs getting his 8th of the season from Johnny Walton and Brandon Cruz on the power play at the 9:33 mark of the period. It is then a tie hockey game, and then Tanner Kelly puts the win in with less than a second to go. A breakaway, not a breakaway play, but a broken play. He puts the puck on net, and he scores for his 23rd of the season from Nate Roy and Cam Hunsinger, and it's 4-3 Fish. Lake Tahoe makes it interesting, tries to make a play, tries to get put the puck in the back of the net, but that was all Carter Garlander can stop. And the Fish take game 1 of the series by the score of 4-3. Garlander stopping 22 of 25 in the game. Jordan Papri stopping 26 of 30 in the game on Friday night. 8,059 in attendance. 2 hours and 26 minutes took to play the game at the Huntington Center. Toledo outshooting Lake Tahoe in the game 30-25. Both teams 1 for 2 on the power play. So the Fish take game 1 of the series. You get to game 2 of the series. You had Nolan Lalone starting for the Fish in the game, and McCallion jumps out for the Fish to get the early 1-0 lead with his 6th of the season from Hawkins and Mitchell Lewandowski. And it's a 1-0 Fish lead, but then after that, it was all monsters, lake monsters, night monsters in this game. As Lohan Haku gets his first of the season from Mike O'Leary. Haku coming over from Jacksonville in the Iceman. 8:50 mark at the first period, it's 1-1 tie hockey game, and then at the 13:53 mark of the period, Mike O'Leary gets his 10th of the season from Keenan Stewart and Jason Garreau. It's 2-1 Night Monsters after 20 minutes of play. Nobody scores in the second, and then in the third, Kevin Wall gets his 17th of the season at the 7:30 mark of the period, making it a 3-1 game, and then an empty netter for Trent Seawick, his 22nd of the season at the 18:34 mark of the period, and that is all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen, as the Fish get eaten up by the Night Monsters by the score of 4-1. Now, Nolan Lalone stopping 22 of 25 in the game. He was on the ice for the 58 minutes, 57 seconds, which is because of the pole goalie, of course. But Jordan Papri stopping 36 of 37. He was outstanding yesterday in the game. Number 3 star of the game. Lohan Haku getting the number 2 star, and Mike O'Leary the number 1 star in the game last night at the Huntington Center. Toledo outshooting Lake Tahoe in the game 37-26. Toledo 0 for 3 on the power play. Lake Tahoe 0 for 1 in the game. 2 in the first, 2 in the third for Lake Tahoe, 1 for Toledo. And this was a long game because they were reviewing a lot of plays, and there was a lot of scrums and a lot of cheekiness in this game. 8,084 in attendance, but this game took 2 hours and 48 minutes to play for a couple reviews that they took yesterday. And the ECHL's got to fix that. They got to fix that going forward and such. So then you get into today, the pivotal matchup, the final matchup. And both these games felt like playoff games. If you were at the Huntington Center, and I took a lot of the game in to watch. I was watching the Jackets, and I was watching the Walleye. I was watching the NCAA tournament. I was blending in a lot of it. But it felt like, to me, a lot of these 3 games felt like playoff games. You got a taste of what the playoffs are going to look like. Especially, you win game 1, you lose game 2, and you got to win game 3 to get the points. And it all started off again at the 3:08 mark of the first period, with Langer getting his 2nd of the season for Swick and Peters, and it's 1-0 Lake Tahoe. And then at the 16:32 mark of the same period, Lake Tahoe connects again with Carter Garlander in the net. Wall his 18th from Stanchek and Polini, and it's 2-0 Night Monsters after 20 minutes of play. You get into the second period, and yet again, Lake Tahoe just jumping all over Toledo. And Pelini getting his 28th of the season from Wall. 3-0 Fish in this game. 3-0 Fish. Wow. But then you had the Fish capitalize and start making the run. At the 5:08 mark of the period, not even less than a minute later, Brandon Hawkins on the power play. And by the way, the Pelini goal, shorthanded. But then on the power play, Kelly to McCourt over to Hawkins, and Hawkins buries it past the goaltender, his 27th of the season, and the Fish get on the board. It's 3-1 on the power play. And then after 40 minutes, it was 3-1. You get into the third, and then you had another power play opportunity for the Fish at the 12:36 mark, as it was a delay of game penalty on Lake Tahoe, and Van Wright gets his 13th of the season from Walden and Sawyer on the power play, and it's 3-2 Fish, and not even 13 seconds later, they come down the ice. Funk to McKinnon. McKinnon over to McCallion with a big blast from the point, and we have a tie hockey game at the Huntington Center at the 12:49 mark, 3-3 in favor of a tie game. We go to overtime. And yet again, I say it again, when you play a former opponent that's looking to get points and looking to get into the playoff picture like Lake Tahoe is, they'll do every means necessary to get it and win this game. And Taylor from Stanchek having a great weekend, and he capitalizes 2 minutes and 5 seconds into the overtime period for his 20th of the season. Lake Tahoe gets 4 points on the weekend. Toledo gets 3 points on the weekend. Lake Tahoe wins the game in overtime by a score of 4-3. Toledo outshooting Lake Tahoe in this game 36-27. Toledo 2 for 4 on the power play. Lake Tahoe 0 for 4 on the power play. It was Bassey starting for Lake Tahoe, stopping 33 of 36 to save percentage of a point 925. Skylander 19 of 23. He gets the loss. He stopped. His save percentage is a point 895. The game, by the way, it was 7,804 in attendance. 2 hours 41 minutes to play the game tonight at the Huntington Center. Wall was the number 3 star. McCallion for Toledo was the number 2 star. And Stanchuk with the game winner, the number 1 star in tonight's game. So the Fish fall. They lose 2 of 3 to the Lake Tahoe Night Monsters. Of course, they will continue the homestand this upcoming Friday with a game Friday night, 7:15 puck drop, less than 150 tickets remaining against the Indy Fuel, and then 2 games against Bloomington Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's game is a 7:15 puck drop, and Sunday's game a 5:15 puck drop, and then they will hit the road Wednesday, April 1st on April Fool's Day to Fisher's Event Center to take on the Indy Fuel for a 7 o'clock drop. That is the makeup game that they are scheduled to make up. And then they will then head to Kalamazoo April 3rd, home April 4th to the Wheeling Nailers, home Friday, April 10th to the Cincinnati Cyclones. Then they'll be in Cincinnati on the 11th, in Fort Wayne on the 12th, the makeup game Thursday, April 17th for the game that they were supposed to play in Fort Wayne. And then the final home game of the regular season, April 17th, against the Wheeling Nailers. That would have been the day after Christmas, is the makeup game for that. Looking around the East Coast Hockey League tonight on the score sheet, looks like this. Maine was a 4-0 winner over Reading. Three Rivers a winner 3-1, loser to Wheeling 3-1. Atlanta 4-3 win over Savannah. Kalamazoo spanks Rapid City 6-1. Booster a 4-3 win over Adirondack. It was Allen a 7-1 win over South Carolina. Greensboro falls to Norfolk by the score of 3-1. Utah, their final game in the Central Division, they played the Indy Fuel. They get a 3-1 win over the Indy Fuel. Greenville loses to Jacksonville 2-1. Iowa, a 6-4 win over Bloomington. Iowa's final game in Bloomington. And like I mentioned, Toledo falls to Lake Tahoe in overtime tonight by the score of 4-3. The slate looks like this for the rest of the week. Tuesday, there will be Kansas City and Wichita. Wednesday, we'll see Norfolk and Reading, Savannah in Florida, Three Rivers and Tulsa, and South Carolina and Idaho. Thursday, Orlando and Atlanta, and Allen will host Utah in games on this week going into the weekend series, like we mentioned before. Looking at the standings going into tonight, after today's games, it looks like this we'll start first and foremost with the Eastern Conference. 3 teams in the Eastern Conference have clinched out of the South Division. But we'll start with the North first and foremost. Wheeling's holding the top spot, 39-16, 3-3 with 84 points. Maine is in second at 36-16, 6-2 with 80 points. Adirondack 34-18, 7-1 with 76 points. And the Reading Royals 30-21, 7-2 with 69 points. On the outside, looking into the playoffs, is Three Rivers at 28-26, 2-4 with 62 points. You have Worcester is 27-26 5-2 with 61 points. In the South Division of the Eastern Conference, like I mentioned, 3 teams have clinched. Florida with 90 points, 41-13 6-2 with 90 points. South Carolina 40-19 1-2 with 83 points, and Atlanta 39-19 2-1 with 81 points. The final playoff spot looks like this. It's a 2-team race. It's really a 3-team race if you look at it. Savannah 29-28, 3-1 with 62 points as the 4th seed. It's then Jacksonville 25-29, 7-1 with 58 points, and then Greenville 24-28, 7-1 with 56 points. Those 3 teams are battling now out for the final playoff spot in the South Division in the Eastern Conference. You get to the West. We'll start with the Mountain. Kansas City, top spot, 48-10, 2-1 with 99 points. They're going to win the Brabham Cup. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They're going to win the best team in the division, in the league. Idaho, 37-19, 5-1 with 80 points. Allen, 33-23, 5-0 with 71 points. With the 3 points that Lake Tahoe has gotten over the weekend, 31-26, 2-3 with 67 points. They are in firm control now of their 4th place playoff spot because Wichita, 24-25, 6-4 with 58 points. They're 9 points behind. With 3 games at hand, they can still catch it, but it's going to be a long road for them. Utah is 57 points at 24-30, 8-1. And then Rapid City, 25-31, 4-1 with 55 points. And now we get into the Central. Toledo getting the 3 points that they got over the weekend. They have 83 points. They are still leading the division, but not by much, ladies and gentlemen. Not by much. They're 37-15, 5-4 with 83 points. Fort Wayne, 36-15, 9-0 with 81 points. Toledo has played 61 games. Fort Wayne has played 60. They have a game at hand against us. Indy, 30-22, 8-1 with 69 points. And Bloomington is holding the 4th spot at 30-27, 2-2 with 64 points. It would be, if the playoffs started today, it would be Toledo versus Bloomington, Fort Wayne, Indy in the first round. Kalamazoo's on the outside in. They got some big points against Rapid City this weekend. They're 28-26, 3-3 with 62 points. As well, right there is Cincinnati. They're 29-27, 4-0 with 62 points. And then Iowa, thank you for coming, 20-35, 4-2 with 46 points. It's going to be a sad day when they close that, when they move out. It's going to be sad. It feels like to me that they've already moved out. And if you're wondering, It's Kansas City with the top team. They're going to be the Bramble Cup champions. Florida, then Wheeling, South Carolina, then Toledo are the top five in the East, in the ECHL overall league standings. The worst teams, like I mentioned, Greensboro is the worst. 18-36, 6-1, 43 points. Not a good year for Biz. Iowa 20-35, 4-2 with 46 points. So there's that for you guys. The Walleye fall and lose 2 of 3 to the Lake Tahoe Night Monsters. They get 3 points on the weekend. They're still holding the top spot, and now they will go back into divisional play for the rest of the season. As you're watching and listening to a special post-game edition of All Andy Alfred right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening to us tonight, wherever and whenever you're listening to us. Thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast tonight. Wanted to touch this briefly right here on the podcast really quickly. The American Hockey League was in action tonight. Cleveland fell by the score of 6-3 to the Syracuse Crunch. You had the Marlies fall to the Penguins 4-3. Binghamton a 6-3 win over Hershey. Grand Rapids loses tonight to Rockford by the score of 4-1. Playoff race wise, it's Lavelle, then Syracuse, and then the top 4 teams will make it in each division. So it would be Lavelle playing Toronto as of right now, and then Cleveland would play Syracuse, with Syracuse having the home ice advantage in the games. And then you look at the Central, Grand Rapids and Chicago, Texas and Manitoba. Grand Rapids would open with Manitoba, and Chicago would open up with Texas in that round. That's what the playoff race would look like. And then again, post-game edition of All Andy Alfred tonight, right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, as the Jackets fall tonight to the New York Islanders by the score of 1-0 on the island. They'll be back on the ice on Tuesday, 7 o'clock drop on ESPN Plus and on Hulu. They'll be back on Fox on FanDuel Sports Network Ohio on Thursday against the Montreal Canadiens before a 3-game homestand with San Jose, Boston, and Carolina. A big stretch going forward. Big stretch going forward. So there is that. Now, let's get into it. Let's get into the dance really quickly, of course. I know a lot of you have been wondering what's going on with the NCAA tournament, of course. We had the first rounds that took place. We're going to go bracket by bracket, of course. We'll start off first and foremost with the East. Duke beating Siena. The first upset of the day, of course, was TCU, the 9th seed, beating Ohio State 66-64. The Johnnies, a big 79-53 win over Northern Iowa. That was a 5-12 matchup. Kansas beating up on Cal Baptist 68-60. Louisville beating South Florida by the score of 83-79. Michigan State beating North Dakota State by the score of 92-67. And UCLA, a 75-71 win over UCF. And then UConn, an 82-71 win over Furman. And then you get into the round of second round action. Michigan State a winner 77-69 over Louisville. And then you have St. John's tonight win on a buzzer beater 67-65 over Kansas. And Duke beating up on TCU 81-58. So the Sweet 16 will have Duke versus St. John's in one side of the bracket. And right now, as we speak, we're still going on. UConn up 51-44 on UCLA. The winner of that matchup will play Michigan State. That is on the East bracket. We get to the West bracket. Arizona beating up on Long Island 92-58. It was Utah State upsetting number 8 Villanova 86-76. The huge upset was the 5-12 matchup as High Point University, an 83-82 win over the Wisconsin Badgers. Sorry, Big Cat. Big loss on that run. And then Arkansas, led by John Calipari and his crew, a winner over Hawaii 97-78. You also have BYU losing to Texas by the score of 79-71 and Gonzaga 73-64 win. And then Miami an 80-66 win over Missouri and Purdue a 104-71 win over Queens. You get to the round of 32. Purdue beats up on Miami 79-69. Texas upsets number 3 Gonzaga. Takes the team out of my bracket. 74-68. High Point loses to Arkansas by the score of 94-88, and Arizona 78-66 win over Utah State, which sets up Arizona versus Arkansas and Texas versus Purdue in the West bracket. We get to the South bracket. Florida, the number 1 overall seed, beating Prairie View 114-55. Iowa 67-61 win over Clemson. Those 8-9 matchups, I tell you, it's a toss-up when it comes to those matchups. It really is. McNeese falls to Vanderbilt 76-68. This is the South bracket. I had a lot of faith in Troy because I didn't believe in Nebraska. I really didn't. And Troy really disappointed me. They really disappointed me. Nebraska 76-47 win over Troy. The big upset, of course, is Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, an 82-78 win over North Carolina, knocking out the Tar Heels in overtime in the game. And then Illinois, a 105-70 win over Penn. And then St. Mary's falling to Texas A&M, 63-50. Screwed my bracket there up for the number 2 ranked Houston Cougars, 78-47 win over Idaho. Then Houston in the round of 32 beats up Texas A&M 88-57. Illinois is 78-55 win over VCU. Nebraska continues the Cinderella march. They win and beat Vanderbilt by the score of 74-72. Iowa beats number 1 Florida. I repeat again. The first number 1 is not Duke going out. It is the defending champion Florida Gators lose to the Iowa Hawkeyes by the score of 73-71. So it's Iowa, Nebraska, and Illinois and Houston in the South bracket. In the Midwest bracket, Michigan a 101-80 win in the round of 64 over Howard. St. Louis a 102-77 win over Georgia. Texas Tech a 91-71 win over Akron. And then Alabama a 90-70 win over Hofstra. This is where it screwed up for me, and this is where the bracket really messed up for me. I thought Miami of Ohio would keep it close. They fell apart quicker than a Walmart sweater in the dryer. Miami of Ohio loses and gets knocked out of the tournament by Tennessee 78-56. I thought Wright State was another team that could pull an upset because I don't trust Virginia to save my life. But Virginia moves on with an 82-73 win over Wright State. You had Kentucky beat Santa Clara 89-84. And then Iowa State a 108-74 win over Tennessee State. You get to the round of 32, and Kentucky is done. They lose to Iowa State 82-63. Tennessee beats Virginia. Again, I repeat, Tennessee beats Virginia 79-72, which sets up Tennessee, Iowa State in the Sweet 16. Michigan beats St. Louis handily 95-72. And right now, with a minute 27 to go in the first quarter of play, it's Alabama 46, Texas Tech 23. The winner of that game will play Michigan. So, with that all in mind, and you're wondering yourself, where does the bracket situation all fall? Well, let me see here for you. Let me pull it up really quickly. There is no perfect brackets left in the ESPN accounts. There is no, and I repeat again, no perfect brackets in the ESPN accounts. Let me pull it up really quickly to catch you up on who is leading the All Andy Alfred Bracket Challenge. Again, to those that signed up for the challenge, thank you so much for signing up. Really appreciate you coming in and signing up for the challenge. Hit that wrong button really quickly. Wanted to pull it up for you guys while I had an opportunity. Boom. And I have I'm in different groups, of course, with this, but right now the bracket challenge actually sees yours truly in the lead. So I might be buying myself lunch this year. As I am now in first place with my Duke bracket, and then it is the Tides of March in second place, which is my wife, and then in third is yours truly with my Arkansas bracket, and then you have the Harbaugh bracket in fifth, and Juanita bracket is in third. Harbaugh pick 1 and is in fifth. Harbaugh pick 2 is in sixth. Harbaugh pick ESPN fan picks 1 is seventh, and then we have a tie for eighth, and then 10th spot for a fan as well too. So yours truly in the lead right now. I can max out at 1620 is my points. My percentage is a 90.06. And then my second bracket, I can max out at 1600. My percentage is 74.8. The Tides of March is at 83.6%. So yours truly and my wife battling it out for the tournament, for the championship. So we'll see. We will see how it all shakes out going forward. Again, I made 3 brackets. I had a Michigan bracket, and the 2 I entered into all the contests was my Duke bracket and my Arkansas bracket. And my Arkansas bracket right now is sitting at 74.8% correct. My Duke bracket right now, let me pull it up. Other bracket. Here it is. There's my other bracket pulling right now. Let's see here. 90.6, like I mentioned before. And my Michigan bracket right now is only at 27.4%. So that's the worst of the bracket. The most I can max out to that one is 1620. So I still have an outside shot. So we'll see. We'll see how it all breaks out. We'll see how it all breaks out as well too. Now, again, the women's side of the bracket is interesting. I wanted to get into that really quickly too here on All Andy Alfred, as we're in the women's side of the bracket as well. Taking a look at the brackets on that side. Here we go. Perfect. I just made one bracket for that one. I kind of went chalk on a lot of it. UConn 90-52 win over UTSA. Syracuse a 72-63 win. That's where I had it too. Maryland a 99-67 win over Murray State. It was a 5-12 matchup. North Carolina an 82-51 win over Western Illinois. Notre Dame a 79-60 win over Fairfield. And then Ohio State a 75-54 win over Howard. Illinois 66, Colorado 57, and Vanderbilt 102-61 over High Point. So the round of 32, we'll see Illinois and Vanderbilt, Notre Dame and Ohio State. We had one game already take place. North Carolina upsets Maryland 74-66, and UConn and Syracuse will play tomorrow at 6 o'clock. On the Region 2 bracket, UCLA a 96-43 win over California Baptist. Oklahoma State an 82-68 win over Princeton. Ole Miss an 81-66 win over Gonzaga. Minnesota a 75-58 win over Green Bay. Baylor a 67-62 win over the 11th seed Nebraska Cornhuskers. Duke an 81-64 win over Charleston. Texas Tech a winner 57-52 over Villanova, and LSU a 116-58 win over Jacksonville. Their round of 32. LSU spanks Texas Tech 101-47. Duke a 69-46 win over Baylor. Minnesota a 65-63 win over Ole Miss. And then later on, tomorrow will be UCLA and Oklahoma State to finish out Region 2 bracket. In Region 3, Texas an 87-45 win over Missouri. Oregon a 70-60 win over Virginia Tech. Kentucky beats up on James Madison 71-56. West Virginia 82. Miami of Ohio 54. Miami of Ohio done. The tournament, the Mid-American Conference representative is done. Alabama a 68-55 win over Rhode Island. Louisville a 72-52 win over Vermont. NC State a 76-61 win over Tennessee. And Michigan an 83-48 win over Holy Cross. Michigan wins in the round of 32 over NC State 92-63. They'll play the winner of Alabama and Louisville. They'll be tipping off tomorrow at noon. And then in the upper part of the bracket, Texas a 158 win over Oregon. They'll play the winner of Kentucky, West Virginia. That will play tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And then finally, in Region 4, the South Carolina Gamecocks, a 103-34 win over Southern. They spanked them. 103-34. 34 points. USC, a 71-67 win over Clemson. You then had Michigan State beating up on Colorado State, 65-62. Oklahoma, an 89-59 win over Idaho. Washington, a 72-54 win over South Dakota State. TCU beats up on UC San Diego, 86-40. Virginia, an 82-73 win over Georgia. That was an upset. That was a 10 beating a 7. And Iowa, 58-48 win over FDFU. So it will be Iowa versus Virginia tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We're at halftime. TCU is down to Washington 27-19. Oklahoma beats Michigan State 77-71. They will play the winner of South Carolina and USC, and that will get down to the Final Four. I went chalk this year. Again, like I mentioned before, I went chalk. I took UConn. I took UCLA. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, I took... Where did I have it? I had Michigan in the bottom of my bracket. That was my 2 seed. And then in Region 4, I had South Carolina. So I had South Carolina versus UConn and UCLA versus Michigan in my Final Four. And South Carolina and UConn beating South Carolina, and Michigan beating UCLA, and Michigan versus UConn, and UConn winning the national championship at the women's side of the bracket. So there's that. So that's all the basketball. Of course, to keep up to date with it, we'll keep it posted right here on our Twitter and Facebook accounts, which is at AllAndyAlfred. It is at AllAndyAlfred, as well as Facebook.com/AllAndyAlfred for updates on the tournament bracket. As you're watching and listening to All Andy Alfred's post-game edition right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network. Wanted to get into, of course, Valspar took place this weekend, as well as the LPGA event that took place. And remember, all our golf coverage is sponsored by our good friends over at Scramble Stick, introducing the new Scramble Stick Clip. The Scramble Stick Clip clips onto any golf cart strut, whether it be a half-inch, quarter-inch, and now the new 1.25 inch to pick up your ball and pick up your life on the go, whether it be on the course or on the road. Scramble Stick Clip is for you. Visit scramblestick.com for your Scramble Stick as well as your Scramble Stick Clip. So there is that for you guys right there. Of course, to get into the golf really quickly, the PGA Tour taking place as it was the Valspar, and Matt Fitzpatrick gets the win, 11 under par. He gets $1.6 million Linsky finishes in second at 10 under par. Smith 9 under par, and Xander Schauffele 8 under par in the round today at the Valspar Championship. They will now head down to Houston for the Texas Children's Houston Open, and then it will be the Valero Texas Open, and then the Masters comes a call in. And I'm looking forward to the Masters this year, really am. It's going to be a great tournament this year. But the LPGA was in action as well. They were back in the States at Menlo Park in California for the Fortinet Founders Cup. Nelly Korda had a great outing on Saturday, rallied the opportunity that she had. She had a fantastic third round, rallied getting into the fourth round, but it was Kim at 16 under par winning the Fortinet Founders Cup. Korda finishing in second at 15 under par. So you have Kim 11 under par, in at 11 under par, and Porter at 10 under par. Looking at the rest of the card for the LPGA event that took place out there in California, you had Min Lee at 10 under par, Yashida at 10 under par as well too. Gabby Lopez tied for fifth at 10 under par as well too. Choi at 9 under par. Adi Aska 8 under par. Paolo Delacour 8 under par as well too. Jonas Telefit 8 under par. Let me see. Jody and Standoff 7 under par, tied for 19th. I'm just getting some of the big names. Some of the names that a lot of you know. I see Jin Lee 5, tied for 36 at 5 under par. Lindy Duncan tied for 42nd at 4 under par. Jin Lee 6, 3 under par, tied for 45th. Rose Zhang tied for 53rd at even par. Celine Boutier 1 over par, tied for 56th. Lydia Ko 1 over par, tied for 56th as well too. Lauren Conklin 2 over par for her round today. In her round, players did not make the cut. Jennifer Kupcho, LeBlanc. Let's see here, other ones. Megan Kang did not make the cut. Eddie Sangstrom did not make the cut. Let's see here. Brooke Matthews did not make the cut. Let's see here. Any other one? Leona McGuire did not make the cut too. Anna Northquist did not make the cut as well too this past weekend. Jasmine Sumanapur did not make the cut as well. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. So Haju Kim, 16 under par. She wins the Fortinet Founders Cup. Nelly Korda, 15 under par for second. She shot 70, 68, 66, and 69 for her rounds, and her 4 rounds over the weekend to get her close. The next will be the Ford Championship, presented by Wild Horse Pass. That will be in Arizona. That will be this upcoming weekend. And then there'll be the Argo Championship and the JM LA Championship, April 16th to the 19th. And then the Chevron Championship, which is the big one, the start of the big ones for the LPGA, April 23rd through the 26th. And then they'll be coming through the area May 14th through the 17th. And then the ShopRite LPGA Classic, the 29th through the 31st at the in New Jersey. Then the U.S. Women's Open, June 4th through the 7th. And then the Dow Championship, June 11th to the 14th. And then June 18th to the 21st is the LPGA Meyer Classic in Grand Rapids. So there is that. Of course, got to get into it really quickly. Of course, I know I'm running out of time here. Major League Baseball, of course, remember, Wednesday night, it will be a special edition of All Andy Alfred. Is the 2026 MLB Preview Edition. Yours truly, Lucas Sigerson and Logan or Robert Logie Bear Carr, all being a part of the podcast tonight. A podcast on Wednesday night to get you set up for the 2026 Major League Baseball season. And camp has finally broke. We have some games that are still going on in the final games of the exhibition / spring training season. The Dodgers are playing the Angels right now, top of the sixth. Dodgers all over the Angels, 11-1. The Mariners up 4-2 on the White Sox. Games today, the Phillies beat up on the Yankees 6-2. You had the Guardians beat up on the Reds 8-2. Chicago a 12-0 win over the Milwaukee. Miami a 4-3 win over the Mets. Toronto a 14-1 win over the Tampa Bay Rays. So there's that. Tomorrow games, Tampa is in Philadelphia. Baltimore is in Washington. Minnesota is in Boston. Atlanta is in playing Pittsburgh. The Yankees are playing the Cubs. So that's interesting right there. Because the Yankees play the Cubs. I want to double check something really quickly. I want to see if that game is where I think that game is going to be played at. If that game is being played in Arizona, that would make sense because the Yankees are going to open in San Francisco. I just want to know where that game is being played at. I also want to know where the Tigers will have an exhibition game tomorrow against Colorado. I want to know where that game is going to be played at. Yes, Yankee game will be played in Mesa tomorrow. It'll be LaGrange versus Imagawa on the bump for that one. 3:05 first pitch for that one. Like I said, the Tigers will play a exhibition game against Colorado tomorrow. Colorado is in the Arizona League. I wanna say that game is played in Arizona, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're playing that game in Colorado. I will not be surprised. Let me double check it. I'm gonna double check it right here for you guys. Gonna double check it. Pulling up the schedule right now. Pulling it up. Because I want to double check it to make sure. Because the Tiger game tomorrow will be a free game you can watch on MLB TV. And by the way, if you have T-Mobile, Tuesday, MLB TV will be offered to you for free, starting at 8 a.m. Get it. I recommend it. I highly, highly recommend it because of the fact that the Tigers will be featured on that, the Guardians and the Reds will be featured on that. So if you have that package, and if you have T-Mobile, get it. Because you need, if you want to watch any Tigers, any Guardians, any Reds, or any Guardians, Tigers, or Reds, you will need that package to watch. Let me see here. All right, exhibition-wise, tomorrow. Yeah, Detroit is playing Colorado tomorrow. Flaherty will start. I want to double check where this game's being played at. Because if they're playing exhibition games, it will be played in Scottsdale. It will be played in Scottsdale. Both games will be played in Scottsdale. Because Detroit is going to be playing San Diego and then Arizona. And then they play St. Louis to start their home campaign. And then tomorrow, Reds are in Milwaukee. Cleveland's in Arizona. The exhibition games tomorrow, you have St. Louis playing Springfield in Springfield, Missouri. That's an exhibition game. And then you have the minor league team of San Francisco playing San Francisco at 9:45. And then you have the Sluggers playing Houston in games there. Exhibition game Sluggers at Houston, and then the minor league team playing. So that's pretty cool to see that. And then that's all exhibition spring training, and we begin the journey of 162 games for baseball. So that'll be fun. Wrestling, talk really quickly. Wrestling, Friday Night SmackDown was okay. I thought it was okay. I didn't like the fact that, we don't get much more of the storyline between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, and now Matt Cardona's getting mixed into this. I don't understand that situation, but we did see Damian Priest and R-Truth win the tag team championships over the MFTs. We see that Rhea that Jade Cargill has now formed a team with Michin and B-Fab, and now she's got her quote unquote division. And I think Monday Night Raw is going to be very interesting tomorrow night. We have Brock Lesnar, who got absolutely destroyed by Obafemi. I want to see what his reaction is going to be. I also want to see this whole. They're not really selling me this Punk versus Roman match really much to me. I think it's going to be a great match and it's going to headline WrestleMania, but there's some matches where I'm looking at it that, the card right now, we have Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer. We have Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill. We have Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, and Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. Okay, so there's your 5. Here's your 5 big matches. You got to spread this out into 2 days. So you're going to have an Intercontinental match. Probably going to be a ladder match. You're going to have a U.S. title match. Probably the final match between Mello and Ilya Dragunov again. What else? You'll have a tag team. You'll have a tag team match and a world tag team title match. You have the Andre the Giant, and then you have a few storylines that you gotta put into it. And you have that's what you have. And you have the Intercontinental and the women's side of the things. I think you get another chance for Bayley to get an opportunity. You have or Lyra or Becky Lynch to get involved with this. What else? You have the U.S. women's title match, and I'm just waiting for Julia to drop that belt. It's just she doesn't fit right, and I don't like Kiana James. And then you got the women's tag title matches, which I think you're going to set up as being Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Nikki and Brie Bella versus the Nia Jax and Lash Legend. I mean, that's where I see it. That's where I absolutely see it. On the AEW side of things, I like the fact that Copeland's back with Christian. I think that's very, very, very popular storyline to go forward. And this whole MJF thing, he's going to be he was off television for a little bit. Same with Hangman. And then you have Swerve Strickland versus Kenny Omega. I think this is going to be a good matchup going forward. This whole Don Callis family situation. I don't know. It's just very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So there's that on the wrestling side. As you're watching and listening to a special post-game edition of All Andy Alfred tonight right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening to us, wherever and whenever you're listening to us, thank you so much for tuning in. And we have reached the end of our program tonight, and it's time for Andy Rants. And we're not going to rant much tonight. I want to give a shout out to the Toledo Rep and to you, the listeners, and to the Toledo community for coming out and helping out the Toledo Rep with their moving of all the costumes from the top floor to the bottom floor. They had over 60 people helping out with the effort on Thursday. Again, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for saving these great costumes and everything with the community. Thank you so much for coming. Thursday, I got the chance again this past weekend, did Toledo Voices, and Joe does a fantastic job with it, head of the committee, and all the directors of Toledo Voices. Elizabeth Lotta, fantastic director. She was our director for our show, which is Reply All. We had them rolling in the aisles on Thursday and Friday nights. It was a fantastic crowd, an absolutely fantastic crowd on Thursday and Friday night to see that many people come in and take in our show and to listen to these great local playwrights that do make people laugh and make people have, give positive meaning to everything. So I mean, yeah, it was fantastic. We had great crowds Friday and great crowds on Thursday. They had a great crowd yesterday evening, even though I was not a part of the shows. yesterday. Great crowds. And again, thank you for those that came out to help with the costumes and for those that came to watch the shows. And again, I want to say thank you to Liz for giving me the opportunity and for Joe to do these shows. And again, Liz for the opportunity to perform with this group. It was an all-star cast. Absolutely fantastic. I would do this show again and again and again. And now you're asking the question, and what will be the next show for yours truly? Put on the garland. We're going back to Christmas Carol, possibly. We could be going back to Christmas Carol, and I like what I'm seeing out of that. So there's that. Other than that, wife's doing all right. We're doing all right. The house is still doing great. Weather's fantastic. Get out, enjoy it. I'm probably going to be hitting the golf course here in the next few days. Once it starts to warm up a little bit more, got to break out the new 3-wood and the new hybrid that I got at the golf show. I want to break those in and use my scramble stick as well. So looking forward to that as well. So again, Wednesday night we will have a special All Andy Alfred right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network to get you ready for the 2026 MLB season. We will tape that. Thursday, we will have a regular show Thursday. It will be opening day for the Reds. And both the Tigers and the Guardians are on the West Coast. I want to say, I want one more double check here. Check it for you. Tigers are on at 4:10. Same with the Reds. Guardians will play at 10:10. So we're going to be in between the Tiger, Padres, Red Sox game, getting you set up. And of course, the Jacket game will be against Montreal. So there possibly might be an overrun. We might wait to Friday. I don't know. So, but we are guaranteeing you a show on Wednesday. It is a special All Andy Alfred MLB edition. We will have that show for you Wednesday night. So be prepared. Get the popcorn ready. It's going to be a long one. I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to be a long show. It's a long show. And when we do these shows, we do not edit these shows. We do not edit anything. It is straight run. Straight through. So yours truly and Lucas and Logan, all three of us will be, it's going to be uncensored. It's going to be on topic. We could go off topic a little bit. I don't know. But we'll see. So there's that for you. So again, the Jackets fall to the New York Islanders tonight by the score of 1-0. Ilya Sorokin with the shutout, stopping all 26 shots. The only goal coming in the first minute and a half of the game. It was Horvath getting the goal. It was Horvath getting the goal, and it was 1-0, and that was the final. Jet Greaves in the game stood on his head, but the Jackets do not win, and the point streak ends, and now they'll head to Philadelphia to take on the Flyers Tuesday night, 7 o'clock on ESPN+. The Walleye lose 2 of 3 to Lake Tahoe, get 3 points out of the weekend, and they're still in the top spot in the Central Division. So that is all the time I have for you tonight. Remember, like and subscribe right here on YouTube, and follow us on our digital platforms, whether it be on Twitter at All Andy Alfred, as well as Facebook.com/All Andy Alfred. So until I talk to you guys with my good friends Lucas and Logan on Wednesday, this is Andy Alfred saying, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together. The game of life. Keep your stick on the ice. And to the teams you root for at home, and to my teams, go Jackets! Go Walleye! Go Tigers! Go Guardians! Go Reds! And go Hens! Go Falcons! Lose the home opener against Ohio at the beautiful new Stellar Field. And more birdies and less bogeys, because victory is sweetest when you have tasted defeat. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy opening day. And I will talk to you guys Thursday or Friday right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network. Love you guys. Talk to you later.